And the man behind me who needs no introduction, we are in his house. Give it up for Johnny Cutt!
All right, Roland, you go.
Hey.
Hey, gabagool. Got it cracking up.
Oh, man. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Dead Noise. I'm Chris, and I am back at Hooligans Live with the boss man, Mr. Johnny Cutt.
What up, gabagool, baby? Inside joke.
Gabagoo. Long time no see, man. How you been?
It's been, what, like 4 weeks, 5 weeks? Longer?
If that.
Or has it been shorter?
I think it's been shorter.
My track of time is non-existent.
You and me both.
Yeah, no, it's good to see you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Holidays
Christmas?
were good.
Yeah?
Ready to kick off 2023. Ready to kick its ass, like I'm sure you are.
Hey, you know, I'm just trying to get my ass kicked.
Oh.
It's a rough year, man. A rough year. A lot of ups and downs, like everything, you know.
Yep. Every year is like that to some degree.
Stay optimistic, and then about halfway through, I'm like, fuck, man, I'm ready for next year.
Yep.
Until next year gets here, and you're like, fuck, now I'm getting older. This sucks. I got gray coming in. There's some white hairs. I don't know, man. I wanted to slow down, but, you know, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Ain't no time to slow down just yet.
Not yet.
So with our first interview, we talked a lot about managing a venue such as Hooligans Live.
Yep.
And you kind of touched on some other roles you've had in the music industry, whether it's a tour manager or a graphic designer or a merch guy or running the lights for a live band. So I'm curious about the jobs that you've had on the road, from tour manager to whatever else you've done. So what is it that you have done on the road, and what did each of those jobs entail?
Well, I've done several things, I guess. Most people find a job and they stay with it. I obviously have tour manager. You brought that up. I do kind of essentially what a tour manager is. I think I talked about it a little bit last time. I go over budgets, make sure everything's copacetic. Everybody's got everything they need, making sure the venues are providing what we're asking or what they're contracted to have. Anything goes wrong, I'm the person that kind of spearheads the problem, gets that taken care of, you name it, keeping up with receipts, reporting back to, you know, business management and accounting teams, all those things. Just keeping everything in line, basically. So I've done that. I do that mostly as a predominant, like that's my main gig. I've started off doing merchandising. Actually, no, I started off doing like a production assistant. Basically, if that's exactly what it sounds like, I assisted the production team that was on the tour doing, I think for that tour that I started with, I was doing like lighting assisting. I was helping place lights, make sure things were plugged in, things were working. Did video wall stuff, essentially the same thing, making sure it was plugged in, working. That kind of fell into the merchandising gig with that same tour. I helped with the merchandise selling, you know, keeping inventory, stuff like that. Carried on doing merch with other bands, other tours. Started doing more lighting stuff, more so just like operating what was in the house already, you know. I would just show up and be, oh, what do you have? Let me see what it works like. And, you know, oh, that's cool. And then I just start push buttons and push faders and figure out how to do it, you know, to the band's, you know, pleasure. And it was, you know, that seemed to work out pretty good. Those are the main gigs that I think I've done: tour managing, lighting, merchandising, you know.
Do you have a favorite between the three?
To be honest, I like the tour managing thing the most. I like them all for different reasons and different reasons individually. For instance, I sometimes I like interacting with people, and the merchandising is the best way to do that. I kind of see and talk to a lot of different people. There's opportunity to make more money depending on who you're working for. Tips depending on the band. Like I said, I can get fans that tip really, really well. There's a lot of times where they don't, you know. So the incentive for more money is good for merchandising, but lighting is fun. I can be creative. I can like make things with, you know, if I'm using house gear, like I said, I do a lot. I can make, you know, some things out of nothing a lot of time and put on a good show for the fans to see and for the band to enjoy as well. But tour managing is probably my favorite. I kind of have like a control complex. I'd like to think. I like to be in control of things at all times. I feel confident in my ability to get things done, and I'd rather have that responsibility fall on my shoulders rather than have to depend on someone else. And I've done that before where I've worked under a tour manager, you know, doing a different job, and things would just kind of fall apart, and I'd have to pick up the pieces anyway. So I'd rather just go ahead and get paid to do that, you know?
Fair enough.
So I've seemed to have done pretty good so far. Minor complaints or none at all, you know, good track record.
Keep it 100.
Keep it 100.
So, a lot of people outside of the music industry, whether it's a fan or just someone who has an interest in music, they kind of glamorize being on the road. They're like, oh, you get to travel the world with your best friends, you get to see all these cool places. But there are some both figurative and literal roadblocks in the process of that.
Yeah.
So could you touch on some of those difficulties of being on tour and how it's not as glamorous as it seems?
Well, first off, it is a lot of fun, and it can be a lot of fun depending on the circumstance. Now, I've had the fortunate opportunity to tour with people that I've considered friends, such as the New Year's Day camp, where we really just mesh well together and we have fun, which is kind of why you start doing it to start with, right? You don't want to have a regular, boring 9-to-5 mundane job, so you get into this industry, or you fall into it like I did by being a musician or whatever, just kind of finding your way. So it can be really, really fun, but it also is not all the time, and there are tons of, like you said, proverbial roadblocks, both literal and metaphorical. Some of the things that I've recently had to deal with comes from this last tour. Right out the gate, we had leased a bus, and we had leased it actually before COVID happened. We were supposed to do a U.S. tour, and I knew a guy that had a bus that I actually really liked because I saw it on tour. It was with a different band that was out with us at one time, and I liked it. And I told him that next time it was available, next time we go out, I'd like to release that bus. And so we put a deposit on it, and then obviously COVID happened, so everything kind of went still for a while. But he held the deposit, said no problem. Whenever we got back up and running after COVID, the deposit would apply, and we would just, could pick it up. It wasn't the case. So about 2 to 3 months prior to the tour leaving, we get back in contact with the company, said, hey, got this tour coming up, everything's still good? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And we put down more of the deposit, and it wasn't until the bus showed up here. It was actually, we did a rehearsal here at Hooligans, and the bus that was to show up showed up late, a couple hours late, and it wasn't the bus that we leased. It was, the bus we leased, it was an older bus, but it was nice. I've got videos, I've got photos of it, I know everything. I've seen it in person, I knew what we were supposed to get. What showed up was not. Think of like this. Say you're going to go buy a brand new Corvette, okay? It's nice. You're getting what you pay for. And then they roll in an old Oldsmobile from like 1963. It's got 3 wheels. There's 2 seats, and it's a 5-seater, but there's only 2 seats. The air conditioner blows hot air, and there's like some fungus growing in the back. That's probably what we got,
Good
comparably.
God.
So roadblock 1, there's, fortunately, we got most of the money back, but it didn't help us out in the immediate because we lost a show having to get a new bus. We actually tried to take that bus and make it back to where the housing is for the buses that the guy has, to his complex, and it broke down about an hour down the street, and then we were stranded for like almost a day.
Jeez.
Anyway, that's another story. That's a long, long story. I can keep going about that. That's transportation in a nutshell is a hard roadblock, especially now. There's a lot of bands having to cancel tours just because the price of touring in buses or other vehicles has gone astronomical. There's not enough to meet the demand. Everybody's trying to tour all at once from not being able to tour for so long. So obviously supply and demand, like anything else, the price went up and the supply went down. So, yeah, tough. Among that, there's other things I've dealt with, like border agents going international, not naming any names, but sometimes when people have a less than stellar past, it can come into effect when you're trying to go somewhere else. Canada's really hard to get into if you have like a DUI. Not me personally, but people that I know and have been on tour with have had DUIs, which you wouldn't think would be a big deal because we're not driving, we're just on a bus, but apparently it is. And so it causes more headache than it's worth. Of course, everything worked out and everything got smoothed over. That's another tour manager responsibility that you have to deal with and figure out. That's a headache. Venues in general, dealing with promoters. I've had promoters stiff us on money before. There was one time, it was in Texas. So again, I don't want to name any names, but I was with a band, and we were playing this quote-unquote festival, I'd like to say. We were headlining it, and we show up to this place, and this place was, I don't want to say the name of it, but it was not a name that you would consider a venue to be. It felt more like a roadside bar.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we show up in the middle of nowhere. We're probably 30, 45 minutes from the nearest town, and it's literally what he thought it was. It's a roadside stand with a big open field, but there was a stage, but the stage was getting folded up and getting ready to take away, and the promoter was nowhere to be found. He kept answering his phone for a while. He's like, yeah, we're on the way, I'm on the way, I'm on the way. But I talked to the guys that were folding the stage up. They're like, yeah, he hadn't paid us. And I was like, okay. And he hadn't paid us a deposit, which is usually pretty standard, you know. Whenever I book a band here, I always pay a deposit, you know, whether it be 10%, 20%, 50%, whatever, depends on what's required. We'd had no deposit put in, and we were supposed to get $10,000. Never showed up. Not one. Did he stop answering his phone? Pain in the ass. So another roadblock.
I'm 5 minutes away. 10 minutes later.
Dude, it was like that, but like for hours. He's like, yeah, man, I'm going to Dunkin' Donuts. You want anything? I was like, I mean, yeah, if you're asking, we'll get us a dozen and a fucking cup of Joe. Let's go.
A deposit would be nice too.
But yeah, you know, showing up and like letting us do this show and making money. You know, fortunately, we're in a situation where, I mean, not to say money wasn't a big deal. Like, because it was $10,000, nobody's like, oh, $10,000 that ain't shit. I don't care who you are, $10K is a lot.
Yep.
But we were at least a self-sufficient organization, whereas some of the guys that were on the tour with us or on that same thing aren't as they rely on it day to day, and so they got stiff too. And I mean, they made it work, I'm sure, but it's not as easy.
Jeez.
So roadblocks all over the place, man. Transportation, shiesty promoters, shiesty venues, illegal things, turmoil within the camp. Sometimes, you know, being on top of everybody, man, can cause stress and strain on different things. Whereas, you know, literal fist fights will break out occasionally.
Oh man.
But I mean, that's
rock and roll.
That's rock and roll, baby. Did you ever see? Speaking of rock and roll, I was watching a documentary I used to watch a long time ago. It's older, probably. I don't even remember the year it came out, but it was a Lamb of God documentary. And I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was Philadelphia. It was from that album, and Mark just rocks Randy because Randy was just a drunken fool back then.
Yep.
You know, much better now these days. I just remember that, and that's the point that I'm trying to make, and it happens, and it happens more often than you think.
Oh man, I can imagine, especially with the type of bands I listen to,
Sure.
the heavier nature. What happens when a band, or in your case, a merch guy, when you guys run out of merch? How are you guys able to make it to the next stop with merch?
Well, right off the rip, if somebody's out there specifically doing merch and you run out, that's a problem. That person probably shouldn't be doing merch.
Okay.
Now, I will say there are extenuating circumstances, but in my experiences, if I'm ever running low, it's like any business. You have a par count, right? You have a limit that you get to, and you know you need to reorder. That's what you do. You just reorder. And typically, I've got a company like with New Year's Day. We're under Warner Brothers. They handle our merchandising, and so if I ever get to a point to where my merch person is low, we submit a reorder. We need X amount of this, X amount of that, and they'll drop ship it ahead of us to where we're going to go. So they'll know if we're going to be in I don't know, Dallas, Texas in a couple days, or Dallas 6 week. You know, it'll be there when we get there.
Gotcha.
So that comes into play with like all the logistics and planning and knowing kind of generalized expectations of shows. So you try not to run out. Sometimes it happens. You know, not everything's perfect.
Yeah, I was always curious about that because I've seen a couple bands, not going to name any names, but they'll say like halfway through a tour, oh, tonight we're out of merch, we'll have it at the next show, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, how did they get it so fast? Because it took like 4 weeks to get this shirt.
Sure. No, I get it, man. I mean, that's it. Sometimes the supply doesn't meet the demand. Sometimes it's the case. You know, you plan on selling this many units at this show or this many units at this city or this market. Sometimes you exceed that, and then you're left with, oh, shit, well, we had some ordered, but we were expecting to have some until we got there, and now we ran out. So shit happens. It's like anything else, man.
True.
But yeah, you put an order in and it meets you wherever you're going to go.
And as far as your background in graphic design, I know you design the flyers for all the shows here.
Sure.
How'd you get your start in that area?
That was a necessity thing. I knew several graphic designers that did flyers and did things that I needed, but it all cost money, right? So
Yep.
like I had to start paying people to do these things, and I was doing it very, like from the last time we talked, I was doing it very DIY, very independent, and I didn't have necessarily the extra income or couldn't budget it in because there's really no room for it to create these things. And, I mean, $20, $30, $40, $50, depending on how much or who it was or whatever, it really wasn't a real thing back then for me to be able to afford. So I just started doing it myself. And they had different phone apps that I would start trying to use, and my early graphics were pretty primitive. I'll send you some so you can see.
Please do.
Yeah, so you can include them in the little thing. You're going to pop them up. Here's what it was. Here's what it is. It came out of necessity, man. I just started learning how to do it, and I was like, that's good enough. That's good enough. And then, as with anything, you practice and you do it long enough, you start to become better at it. You start looking at what other people are doing. You start emulating that. And that's kind of what I did, man. I just did it out of necessity. It was born from a desire to have quality stuff without having to necessarily pay for it. Now, I still have projects and stuff that I'm not able to do because I still just use my phone, dude. I do
Really?
all the graphics you see. I do right here on my phone.
Dang. What do you use?
It's an app called PixArt. I pay for the premium version, though. You got to pay for the good stuff.
Don't be cheap, bro.
Don't be cheap. I mean, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm being cheap. But I've turned something that's pretty simple and figured out how to use it to my advantage. And I like to think that my work stands up to some of the other people. I know I've seen people with Photoshop and with all these other more advanced graphic designing software not create something even close to what I'm doing. And that's not like a pat on my back. That's just like, man, I'm using what I have the best possible way, and it's working. I've got people that hit me up all the time, man, make me this or make me that, and I do it. And obviously I make a little side hustle with it, and but as long as the product's good, it doesn't matter how I got it. But yeah, it was born from necessity, and I've just refined it over the years. And if I have anything really specific, I still hire in people like the Waking Terror flyer. That was a friend of mine, Pat Dinkelman, up in New York. He actually did some of my tattoos. A brilliant author. He doesn't write. He's a brilliant illustrator. Super cool guy. I gave him an idea. I gave him some examples of what I think I was looking for, and he drew something up. And
I was
going
to ask about that flyer specifically because I love the design of that.
Yeah, if you want one, I got one. I can give you one.
I got one too.
Do you? Okay.
I bought it at the show.
Oh, you did? Oh, even better.
I got to get you and the band to sign it at some point.
Yeah,
though.
feel free, man. Anytime the band's around. But yeah, no, stuff like that, I always outsource, and I don't mind paying people. I have more of a budget now, obviously, so I don't mind paying outside artists to do quality work like that, man. But for the most part, 96% of things you see here are in-house, and I do it myself.
So with the local shows, for example, how do you come up with the design for the flyer? If it's like you had the Black Friday show.
Yeah, that was another Pat design.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where he drew it up with the lady with the shopping cart.
Yep.
I had this idea, and I was just like, dude. And I'm always scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, and I follow a lot of different artists. I follow a lot of different graphic designers, and I see things. And I just had this idea for Black Friday. Everybody knows it's like the crazy shopping day.
Yep.
So I was like, what would be dope? And since it's like a metal show, what would be dope? It was like this like brutal scene of this like coming out of a shopping center, or in that case, Walmart,
Yep.
where Walmart was replaced by the Hooligans name. But it was in the Walmart font with the same little yellow star thing they have.
Yep.
The lady was just like bloody, rolling out of out of an angry mob with a bunch of stuff. And I don't know if the baseball bat was in it. I don't remember, but I had originally like a big baseball bat in her hand.
I think
with
you
like
did.
blood dripping off of it or whatever. I just wanted it to be like metal-esque, but like play homage to the date being Black Friday, being a big shopping day. And I just, like I said, I sent a couple ideas that I saw to Pat, and he just whipped up a few different drafts, and I liked that one. We went with that one, and there it is.
So let me think of another one. The rock into the new year.
The one this Friday?
Mosh into the New Year.
Yeah. So New Year's Eve, you start thinking about what New Year's Eve is or what the New Year is, and I like to reference a lot of Google searches, right? Hey, New Year's Eve artwork, you know, or something like that. And I just start looking at things and pulling inspiration. And an hourglass is what stood in my mind, you know, time running out.
Yep.
So I just started Googling like hourglasses, you know, and like artwork versions of them and seeing what was there. And then I was like, oh, that looks cool. Let me copy that, see what that is. And I start building it, putting it together from there. And just, you know, I grab a cool font that I like. It all just kind of comes together, just blending and shading and I don't know, just putting everything in place and it works out.
And how'd you learn your video work? Because I know there's certain effects and
Sure.
stuff. How'd you learn how to do
It's
all
all
that
out of
stuff?
necessity too, man. I do it right from my phone, bro. I'm not even going to kid you.
Oh my gosh.
Like most of it, I do have a program called Wondershare Filmora. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I'm not.
I have that on my laptop, and I do a lot more of my advanced work with that. Again, I can show you some videos that I've done with that versus some videos that are on my phone. But I just try to do something simple and catchy, man, where I'll make a flyer and then I'll like extend the flyer and cut out a piece of it,
Yep.
screenshot a music video, and then overlay the video, overlay that graphic on top of that, and then you got a cool video.
That's
It's basic. It's super basic, but
That's
it
crazy.
works. It's my little secret. Shh.
we'll cut that part out.
No, you're not. Liar. But no, all of the stuff that I do, video work, graphics, any of that stuff, it all came from necessity, but it came from me seeing what other people were doing, seeing how things were done somewhere else, and then adding it to what I was trying to do, and I come up with a cool product. And I think it gets the point across. I think it looks cool. You know, I advertise and market things appropriately. My biggest complaint looking at other people's work or looking at other things is just being cheesy or being amateur or just not being good quality, man. And like that's what I strive to not do. I strive to be like grammatically correct, you know, enticing. I wanted to catch you. I want to catch your eye in like a good way. I'm like, oh man, it's really cool. Let me look back at that.
Yep.
Or that's the whole point, right? So I don't want to be laughed at. I don't want it to look like I've tried too hard and it looked like shit, you know?
Yep.
I see so much that looks terrible, you know, where I get it. I was there at one point where I was making my own and it kind of looked crappy. But just grow and evolve and try to be better and better. It's like anything else, man. You just practice, get better and better.
Do you have a favorite artist that you look to for inspiration?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite. There are a few that I kind of look back at, different bands even, you know, I just follow and see what they got going on. But I can't necessarily say I pinpoint one in specifically.
I probably can't either.
Yeah.
I follow too many like
there are some good artists.
cinematographers.
There are some really good ones.
Oh yeah. Well, the first one that comes to my mind, because I'm a fanboy, is Ice Nine Kills. Like their designer is like top notch.
Oh, for sure. He does some really good stuff.
And even the merch he designs, it's like they're like one of the best in the game.
Absolutely.
I don't know how many people will take that seriously coming from me because they know how much I love Ice Nine Kills.
No, I mean, they have quality work, though. I mean, quality work speaks for itself. Shout out to those guys. They're all incredible people. All the things that they're doing, it's working. And it's all cohesive. It all fits their brand. It fits their demographic. Fits what they're going for. So shout out to them. Kudos to them for doing really quality stuff that, you know, I wish more people would take notice of and not necessarily copy it, but get on that level, man. That's good stuff. You know, at this point, bands are brands.
Yep.
They're not necessarily a band. I mean, of course they have good music. Of course they're incredible live, but outside of that, man, they're selling a brand. They're selling themselves, and it's translating. I mean, they've got the merchandising, which is on point. You know, he's doing the video game. Have you seen that video game? I know you have. You're a big fan. That's dope. That's cool stuff. People weren't doing that, man. It's just really cool. And they're very interactive, and I like that.
The whole marketing campaign for their last album was just incredible. What I gotta ask now, what was it like to tour with them in 2019?
Oh man, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Specifically, Spencer. There's a story that I have about him. I was with From Ashes to New, and the tour manager from Ashes to New had his family owned like a lake house up in the Greensboro area, right? And we were hanging out there, and it was us and Ice Nine. We just had like a couple days off, shooting the shit on the lake and barbecue. It's just typical like lake shit, right? And we're all just hanging out, having fun. And I remember one night it was like it started to get dark, right? And Spencer kind of disappears, like Spencer probably would too, right? But nobody really paid no attention to it, but until after the fact, until he's standing out in the woods with a Jason mask on, just standing there, like we look out and like we're at a lake house. Come on, man. And he's just standing in the woods, just looking creepy as fuck. So that's what it's like to tour with Ice Nine Kills.
That sounds like a dream
That's
come
it.
true.
I mean, it was just weird. Then he would just appear at like the window. You're in the
Oh.
kitchen and he's just standing there. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
See, but at least he's on brand though. Like he knew you were at a lake. He put on a
He
Jason
never
mask.
breaks. He's always in character. We're like, bro, have a hot dog, chill the fuck out, and just stares at you and breathes.
Oh yeah.
That's what it was like to tour with Ice Nine Kills.
That's amazing.
There was another instance too. We were at the Black Sheep in Denver, Colorado. A really cool venue. No, it's Colorado Springs. I'm sorry, not Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado Springs, and most tours do like end of tour pranks on each other. And I think this was the last show right before we met up with the Falling in Reverse camp for the rest of that tour.
Okay.
So the tours kind of melded right together. They was off one, onto the other.
Right.
And we were touring with Palisades. And a couple of bands. Hawk, I think, was one of them.
Afterlife.
Afterlife. That was it. You know the tour. Okay.
I was there.
He knows more than I do about it, and I was there.
I'm a
Literally
fanboy.
there. No, great tour, but we were all playing jokes on each other. And I think specifically, I remember a couple of different things that we did. I don't know who said it was, but I know at one point we ran on stage, like from Ashes to New camp and the Ice Nine Kills camp and a couple of the other guys from the other bands. We just run on stage in the middle of the songs and like threw down like this case lid, right? It was like a big square box almost. And we started throwing dice, and we were like gambling right in the middle of the for real. Somebody actually won some money that in the middle of that. It wasn't me, but we were throwing dice, having fun, doing jokes like that. And then there was one point where Ice Nine camp and the From Ashes to New camp pulled out this long table. It was during, I think it was Afterlife set or Palisades set. It was somebody's set. I don't matter. All that matters is that we pulled out this big table. We did it in sections too. So we pulled out this table. Somebody came back behind us with a tablecloth. Somebody came behind us with a chair. And then somebody sat. I think it was. Man, I forget what member of Ice Nine it was. I think it was Pat. I think it was the drummer. I think
checks
Pat.
out.
Yeah, Pat sat down at the table, and Matt, the drummer for Ashes to New, walks out like a little butler dude with like a little towel over his arm. Somebody serves him like a can of Chef Boyardee spaghetti on a plate, and he's just eating spaghetti on stage, literally mid-song, just eating.
Oh my gosh.
The best part about it was the crowd was into it. They were just like, one more bite, one more bite, one more bite. So we just had a spaghetti picnic, spaghetti romantic dinner for one on a stage. That's what it was like to tour with Ice Nine. We just played jokes on each other and
That's amazing.
hung out and shit like that.
I love that.
It's fun. It was good stuff. That's where the fun atmosphere comes into play. Like we were talking about earlier, sometimes it's shitty, sometimes it's fun. That was some of the fun stuff.
They seem like a fun group of people too.
Wild. They're a wild group.
The first time I saw them was when they were here on the March into Madness tour when they were in Jacksonville. And we had VIP tickets for Ice Nine Kills, and that's when they were doing the horror trivia.
Yep.
Pat was our team captain,
Yep.
and he was a hoot and a half.
Dude, Pat he is crazy, dude,
He's
to say the least.
Him and Ricky.
Ricky was always fun to hang out with. Ricky was really, me and him became good friends
really
on that tour, yeah.
Dude, his band Hawk.
That was incredible. Dude, he's
Oh my gosh.
he's a really good front man.
I wasn't surprised, but I was just really impressed that they were the first band to go on. It's like they should be on their own tour.
Yeah, I mean, but at the sake of their size, it is what it is. But I think they were a really cool fit. I think they played their part really, really, really well, and it was just cool to see somebody from the headlining band playing in the opening band.
Oh yeah.
Which is going to happen when Cold's here. Not to plug that, but a couple of members from Cold are in a band called Death Valley Dreams, and they are touring with Cold.
Okay.
So, but they're going to open up. They're going to be the first band, and they're going to. I don't know if they're going to play.
That's
Short set.
That's so badass.
Right?
When you're in two bands and doing it for a whole tour, that just takes so much. I can't
Yeah.
even imagine.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Don't want to do it.
Well, touring season's coming up for you pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, What, if anything, can you publicly say about that?
Well, I haven't publicly announced anything yet, but I did get confirmation that I will be going on tour with Saint Asonia. I think we were talking about it just before we got on camera here. Going out with Saint Asonia, which, if people aren't familiar, it started as a supergroup. Features Adam Gontier, the former original singer from 3 Days Grace, Mike Mashak, the original and current guitarist for Stained. And they're coming out with a new record next year too, I heard. Fuck.
We'll cut that out too.
No, we're not. It had the guy from Finger 11. It had Corey Lowry on bass, which you know him. He plays in Seether now.
Yep.
But obviously, the drummer from Finger 11, I can't recall his name, and Corey aren't in the band anymore. I went through a few lineup changes, but it was always Adam and Mike. And a guy named Cody's playing drums now. And I think it's Adam's cousin, Kale. He's playing bass. But I'm going out with them February to March. It's like a 6-week run. We're going to be touring with Theory of a Dead Man and Skillet. Basically, it's going to be like upper Northeast and Midwest and West Coast stuff. It's kind of weird. It kind of spans most of the country without hitting all of the country. But
Yep.
I'm excited for it nonetheless. It'll be my first full-length tour since before COVID. I did a little bit with New Year's Day, but it was kind of in and out. So I'm excited, man. I'm going to be tour managing and doing some lighting for them.
Is this your first time working with any of those bands?
It'll be my second time technically working with Saint Asonia. I did do Incarceration this past year with them, but that was just in and out. I literally flew in, met with the guys, handled the day, and then flew back home. But this would be my first time like living in a bus and doing that in a bigger aspect, But I'm excited. My interactions with them was very positive. They are all very nice people. Obviously, I'm a big fan of both the main bands, or former and main band.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back out there, getting my hands dirty, touring, doing what I enjoy doing, seeing a lot of old friends from different parts of the world, and some of them on the camps that I'm going to be touring with. Yeah, that's what I really enjoy, so I'm looking forward to it.
Are you guys going to be making a stop at the machine shop?
No, I think most of the venues that we're playing are like 2,000 cap plus, and the machine shop's only like a 500, so it's a little bit too big. If Saint Asonia was on their own, I think it would probably be a reasonable thing, but the tour is just too big for it to actually take place there. Machine shop's legendary, and I love that spot, so I'm excited to ever get a chance to go back there and see Kevin and the whole team there. But yeah, we're doing a lot of Live Nation stuff, which obviously Machine Shop's not. They're independent.
Yep.
A lot of like Fillmore's, House of Blues, and some of the bigger places. I'm excited to go to Dallas, though. I haven't been able to see or go to anything in the Bomb Factory in a long time. And I know they've dropped Bomb from their name. They're now just the Factory.
Yep.
But I'm super, super stoked to see that. It's one of my favorite venues in the country. They just do it right. And I'm excited to see that place again. And that whole area is really cool. It's like very, there's tons of shit to do. It's like kind of trendy, kind of like a cool downtown area. So.
They got a good music scene, too.
It's Texas,
the whole
man.
state of Texas.
It's Texas. Everything's better in Texas, man. Come on.
It's Texas and Florida. I don't think I've heard a single bad band from those two states.
No, and the scenes are incredible in both states. I wish I could, like, dig up a piece of it and bring it here and be like, this is what it's like somewhere else.
Just bring a full Texas bill to Hooligans.
Dude, I don't think we could hold that, man. But that'd be crazy. It'd be crazy.
If you get the right bands.
Well, I mean, yeah, the right bands for sure. I'm talking about just digging up a whole entire. Here, give me a whole county, bro. Just bring Dallas and just set it here.
Oh, well, that's a whole other level.
City, right? No, that's what I want. Just bring it here and show everybody here what it's like outside of here.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, we'll put it on the agenda.
Put that on the docket.
2024, Dallas, Texas moves to North Carolina.
Jacksonville, North Carolina.
The whole city just up and moves.
Do you have any fun stories from the machine shop?
From the machine shop? Nothing crazy, man. It's one of those places that you go and you just like embrace the legacy and everybody that's been there, and it's just it feels like you're walking into like your dad's garage. It's just like it feels comfortable there. Like you just walk in, everything's, hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. Oh, hey, how you doing? It's cool artwork on the wall. There's a lot of history, man. It's just one of those places, man. You go and you're like, man, this is cool.
I've never been there personally, but a ton of my favorite bands have played there at some point, and that's like a bucket list place. Like,
Sure.
I got to see this band at this venue.
Absolutely.
Like, I got to see AFI in California. I got to see this band in this state.
For sure.
It's like that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. And if you can make the trip over to see somebody, man, I encourage it. And I don't want to get anybody get their hopes up. It's not like you're walking into, you know, I don't know, you're not going to go to a stadium show there. You're not going to see huge, you know, productions. But it's just cool because it's small, it's intimate, it's a rock club, man. You're going to go and you're going to have a good time. You're going to be treated well. The staff there is incredible, man. They're fantastic. So yeah, I don't want anybody to go and go, oh man, well the show was way bigger when I saw it here at this way bigger venue.
Yep.
But there's a lot of bands that play there just because of what it is, and there's some bands that are too big to play there. They'll play 2 or 3 nights in a row just to make it worth their time. You know, everybody's got bills to pay, of course, but you know, I've seen bands like Seven Dust. Obviously, Seven Dust is a band that's too big to play a 500 cap room.
Yep.
But they'll play there twice in a row and just you know, sell it out 2 nights.
Or have a morning show or afternoon show and an evening show.
I've seen bands do 2 shows in a row like
Yep.
that. They'll do an early and a late show. It's few and farther between, but yeah, I've seen that.
Now, as a tour manager or just a guy on the road in general, do you prefer the logistics of a full concert tour or a festival?
Well, usually the festivals are mixed in with my full tour.
The day, like the daily like the day schedule. I mean,
Either or. Honestly, the festivals are so much easier for me, but they're a little bit more tricky. Not in the sense of like what my camp has to do, but also in the sense of what my camp has to do. Case in point, like when we do a festival, depending on who's on it, like sometimes it can be a bit of a headache because with New Year's Day, we're one of the last bands that gets to the stage because we're one of the early bands. So it's like you're last in, but you're first on. So it's kind of stressful to be rushed or put into a time constraint because we got so much to do in so little time. That can be the frustrating part of it. Whereas if we're headlining a tour, I got all day. You know, it's our tour. We can do what we want. And,
Yep.
you know, in a sense, not that we're being disrespectful to the rest of the bands or the rest of the tours at the venue, but we have more room to get what we need to get done rather than here's 30 minutes, go. So that's kind of stressful, but once we're done, it's kind of like, oh shit, we're done. We can just hang out. Except I got to go do interviews or I got to go, you know, meet this person or meet that person. But once those things are done, man, it's kind of just whatever. You can all hang out, see a lot of friends. Like I said last time, you know, festivals are reunion shows in a sense. You know, you get to see people that you don't get to see often because they're always touring and they're always touring with different people. So you go to catering or you go to, you know, the little compounds that they have for the artists, and it's just, hey, what's up? Versus like another touring situation where we're not on a festival, it's more relaxed in a sense. I like to be more relaxed. I like to space my day out, so I like early load-ins, and you know, it gets plenty of time to get shit done. I got more than one job, so it gives me plenty of time to focus on what I got to do there, what else I got to do there, and then I'll be double dutying this time around by still doing stuff here. So I'll be tied to a computer, making sure that emails are sent, make sure phone calls are made, make sure everything's still running right here at Hooligans while I'm out there. So it's easier for me just to kind of have, to be in charge of my own schedule or be in charge of the schedule for everyone so I can kind of make it fit everybody's specific needs.
and speaking of having Hooligans run right, I mean, this was from my point of view as a fan, this was a pretty good year for the venue. But looking ahead to this new year, 2023, what are you excited about and what are you looking forward to about this year as far as shows go, things that maybe haven't been announced but ideas you have? Sure. Obviously, I'm not asking you to announce anything now,
for sure.
But just what you're excited about with this new year.
I'm excited to just, I guess, continue doing what we started rebuilding after COVID. I've got a long history in the club as far as here. Played a lot of shows here, grew up here, you know, kind of got my feet wet in this club specifically. So I'm excited to just continue to build upon the legacy that it has, but also the legacy that I've created, you know, with the team that's in place as it is now following COVID. So I just want to continue to do bigger shows, as big as I possibly can, as many as I can. Obviously, we have to take within reason, size of artists. It doesn't always work out. Quit asking for Metallica to play here. They can't. Metallica I can't book Metallica. I can't book Pantera. I can't do any of these things, guys. Quit asking me. Quit asking me.
But what about Slipknot?
No. No. I could probably do Stone Sour, or I could maybe do Corey Taylor by himself.
I'm down
which
for that.
would be awesome, but some of these things are just out of reach. But I'm excited to do, the things that we've done already. Some of the bigger ones, bring some of the bigger ones back, get more big ones in, continue doing all the small ones. I don't mind. I made a Facebook post the other day talking about how I'm not after the largest names in the world. I'll book anybody as long as it makes sense. It's not necessarily about always making money, but I'm in the business to make money. Obviously, I represent a team of people, owners and such, and they're in it to make money. That's the whole point of owning a business. You don't want to just spend money. You got to make it. So I make the best logical decisions across the board, whether it's big or small. And some people I've had people look at things that I've booked, and go, oh man, this was a little band, or that artist is small. We got somebody so much bigger over here, or we got somebody so much bigger over there. And I'm like, well, that's cool, but you just lost a lot of money because you didn't put enough people in the club to make it make sense. So it's like a teeter-totter, man. Like there's a balance to it.
It's like quality versus quantity.
Absolutely, man. And I'll do a lot of shows, but I feel like my return rate is pretty good on the business side of things. Whether people agree with it or not, man. I can do a show that maybe does 50, 60 people, and it'd be profitable because the band knew their worth. The people that showed up and spent the money, and everybody came out, as expected, and it makes sense. So I take calculated risks. Everything's a gamble, and I appreciate everybody that does support, big or small. But it's a calculated risk, and you have to figure out a way to make what you put into it, if not and exceed. That's the point, is to make money.
Yep.
So I don't know how that necessarily tied in. I went on a tangent there, but I just want to let you know that I'm doing calculated booking. I'm making sense of things as they come to me, and I'm willing to take risks, as we all are, but not.
And he's not bringing Metallica.
But I'm not bringing Metallica. There, done. Interview's over.
Not yet.
Not yet. Shit.
So I was scrolling on Instagram recently, and I saw a post that you and Hooligans made, and it was all the bands that came to Hooligans in 2022.
Sure.
And there was a little question at the end, who do you want to see next year, a.k.a. 2023?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I took that a little bit literally, and I have a couple suggestions.
Metallica cannot come.
Damn it!
To Hooligans. We've already covered this.
Okay. I have some non-Metallica suggestions.
All right.
And if you don't know about these bands, just let me know.
Sure.
But just to get your thoughts on some of these. First one is Census Fail.
Census Fail, they actually just announced a tour. They usually do a lot of Live Nation stuff, which is kind of hard for me to compete with. They usually do the Ritzes and the Fillmores and
Cat's
stuff
Cradle.
like that. Cat's Cradle. I would love to book Census Fail. I'll look it up, see if I can do that.
Next one, Stand Atlantic.
Stand Atlantic. They were just on that I Prevail tour, weren't they?
Yep.
Yeah. I'll look into that. I mean, I feel like they're an attainable band for sure.
See, I keep flip-flopping between these next two because they're touring with each other. Fame on Fire and or Rain City Drive.
Rain City Drive. Haven't heard of Rain City Drive. Fame on Fire. They've come through with someone. I think they did like an Escape the Fate tour, perhaps.
They were here with Ice Nine Kills
Okay.
last November.
Okay, yeah. They're an attainable band, I feel like, especially for the room our size and the size of the band. I'll actually be seeing them in April. They'll be on the festivals that I'm in Florida.
Really?
New Year's Day, yeah.
Nice.
So
Dude, their new album, amazing.
I have to check it out. I haven't really listened to them a whole lot, man, but I'll look into it. I know a band like that typically like packages under bigger bands though, so sometimes these bands that people want, it's like just so hard to get because they're always going out with these 4 or 5 band packages that are just too big for me.
I've thought about that too, because I'm
Yeah.
like, man, if they're not touring with such big bands, then maybe they could come here.
Now, sometimes I can get them on a one-off if like there's like a day off and they want to fill that day. That's
Right.
possible. I've done that before. That Hatebreed show that I had that unfortunately was canceled was a one-off because they were on the Parkway Drive tour. So it was Parkway Drive, Hatebreed, the Black Dahlia Murder, and Stick to Your Guns. And I pulled the whole bottom half of that off and did a singular show. Obviously, it was canceled because Parkway Drive canceled their entire tour,
Yep.
which, as a direct result, canceled all the side stuff as well. But as an example of something like that, I can pull, a band or two or three from a bigger lineup.
I'm trying to think of bands that have played here before. Obviously, the first two that come to mind for me are Palisades and From Ashes to
Sure.
New. But I know I didn't see them here, but I know Bad Omens has played here a couple times.
Yeah, Bad Omens played here a couple years ago. Well, probably more than that now. COVID kind of like put a whole weird time
Yep.
like length on things. You say it was just last year, but then you don't realize it was like 4 years ago now.
Yep.
They played here before. Obviously, it was before they started getting bigger like they are now.
Yep.
I think it was a pretty low turnout, honestly, because it was right at the cusp of them making that break. So people were like, the people that knew were here. The people that didn't know just didn't know.
Yep.
Or they didn't want to take the chance. That's the hard thing, too. A lot of people don't want to take a chance on a band they haven't heard before, which I used to go to shows just to go to shows. I used to just show up and be like, oh, that's crazy. I like that band.
Yep.
Like Gemini Syndrome, for instance, they toured with Mushroomhead years ago, became one of my favorite bands, and I didn't know who the fuck they were until I saw them that night, And then next thing I know, I'm getting them tattooed on me, So
That's how a lot of people were with Stand Atlantic at that I Prevail show
Yeah.
that we were at.
they were very
'Cause
impressive.
a lot of people didn't know who they were, and on a bill with Fit for a King and Pierce the Veil, they did seem a little out of place.
Yeah.
But for me, I was there just to see them.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm as much as I love metalcore and stuff like that, I'm also a pop punk boy at heart.
Sure.
And I've never seen them before, so when I saw that lineup, I was like, okay, I gotta go.
See, me and my buddy Mike, we went for Fit for a King specifically. And then I obviously wanted to see I Prevail. I'm friends with those guys, too, so it was nice to see them on a bigger stage than last time. They played here twice.
I was gonna ask about that with Bad Omens and Fit for a King and I Prevail. Do you think are those bands still sizable to come here, or have they gotten too big for Hooligans?
Fit for a King, I think I could still do them here. Bad Omens is on that cusp of being too big now. I think if we did them, it'd be like a weird off day, like a filler, on the way to a bigger show. I Prevail, no, I don't think we can do them again. I've actually asked specifically, and I was like, dude, what do y'all think? They're like, man, we'd love to, but we just can't. It's just too big. We're too big for that now. Not in a disrespectful way. To just
Obviously.
their production and their market demand exceeds my capacity. So it
Maybe
is what
on
it is.
an intimate acoustic tour, maybe.
I am working on some stuff like that with some bigger names.
Really?
Can't say anything, but it's exciting. It's possible. There are some possibilities of big names on a lower level production, smaller like unplugged style thing. It's possible.
I think people underappreciate unplugged material
Oh,
because
absolutely.
some of that stuff goes hard. Like Finch, they put out an acoustic album years ago before
Sure.
they broke up the second time. And when you add percussion to acoustics, it makes it just so much.
Seven Dust does a really great acoustic rendition of all their stuff, man.
Yeah,
Breaking Benjamin is another one.
I was going to say them.
Yeah, I like stuff like that. I like a little deviation from the norm. Don't get me wrong, I still like live and loud and hard and heavy stuff, but there's something about seeing it and then turning around and seeing it in a different application or
Yeah.
hearing it in a different way as well. So I mean, those things aren't out of the question. It's just a matter of everybody doing it or making the stars align, I guess.
I'll be checking back at the end of next year, being like, okay, we said this didn't happen.
Yeah.
This, I'm
That's
just kidding.
it, man. No, it's a flashback. We're going to look back on this next year at this time and go, oh, shit. We actually did those things. We did book Metallica unplugged at Hooligans.
It's just going to be an annual State of the Venue address sponsored by Dead Noise.
Oh, man, you need to get a seal like the fucking White House, like the annual State of the Union.
I'm too good for the White House. They need to get a logo like me.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I'll make you one
Oh, hey, let's
with
go.
my phone, my graphic design skills.
Graphic design is my passion, a.k.a. I just love making memes.
Hey, man, it's graphic design. You're designing a graphic.
Very true.
That's it, man. You're a wizard, bro. You did it.
So before I let you go, we're now at my favorite part of every interview,
Rapid fire.
speed round. I got some different questions this time around.
Okay.
First song you learned to play on drums.
I don't remember because I was really little, but I'm sure it's like an AC/DC song or maybe even a Metallica song because those are pretty
Unplugged?
Maybe.
How old were you when you started playing?
I was literally like, man, I was a toddler, dude. I was like 2 or 3, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember because I was 2 or 3. I have photos that date that though, so I can see. Like you can, I'll see if I can dig it up and send it to you, so you can use it for this thread. So you can just slap it right on the screen.
Little baby Johnny Cutt.
Little baby Johnny Cutt, baby Cutt. No, probably was one of those songs, AC/DC or something like that. Something simple.
Yeah.
You know.
Favorite song to play?
Oh, I don't really know, man. Probably any of those Foo Fighter songs I played last time I was here. On some drums. Last time you were here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an awesome show.
Dude, yeah. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, it's probably something like that, man. Just something just relaxed and something I can have fun with.
Favorite show you've ever played?
I always reference here when I opened up for this with my band, This Town Is Poison. Opened up for Mushroom Head and Head PE. It was a sold-out show. It was a terrible show. It was back in the days of analog consoles, so nothing was saved. All the things that were on stage couldn't be moved. We couldn't touch any faders. I didn't have a monitor. I had to just play off muscle memory.
Oh, my
I couldn't
God.
hear anybody except for whatever I was doing. But it was good enough, and everybody enjoyed it. And you know,
That's all that matters at the end of the day, right?
it was crazy, man. I'll see if I can send you that video too. There's like I don't know how or what, but like somebody had like an old camcorder in here, I guess. And I mean, it was.
That was before they started making outside cameras not allowed in venues.
It was like, I don't know, man. It wasn't really that long ago. It was only like 12 years ago now. But I guess the technology has like skyrocketed since then in 12 years.
A little bit.
But I found this video on YouTube of us playing that show, and the quality is just terrible. You can't really see anything. It's just a wall of noise. But as I look back on it from time to time,
And the audio probably sounds like black metal
it
demos.
sounds like this. I hope you heard that.
That's
I hope
not,
it came across the way I thought. It sounded better in my head.
that's not going to be salvageable. Overmodulation at its finest.
That's what it sounded like. Hopefully that translates.
I'll make it translate.
Hell yeah.
Favorite band you were a part of?
Favorite, like I actually played in?
Yeah.
I don't know. They all have their positives and their not so positives. This Town Is Poison is probably the first one that comes to my mind. We did a lot of cool things. Like that show I was just telling you about, that was a lot of fun. We did a lot of those kinds of things, man. The camaraderie that was there in the beginning of it, of my time with the band, was really good. We were featured in a Revolver magazine at one point, which was really cool. Did a lot of things with that band. I was in a few others, but that was probably one of my best recollections of fun times.
Did you guys ever record?
I never recorded with the band, but there are recordings of the band, but none with me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's probably why they didn't do anything, because I wasn't on the record. Bitches. Just
They
kidding.
missed out.
Just kidding. We're not cutting that part out. I'm just kidding. No, they're all good guys. I keep in touch with a couple still.
Favorite non-concert event at Hooligans? It's like the karaoke nights, the stuff, the wrestling.
The wrestling. If I have to pick one, it's probably going to be the wrestling. Not for any other reason other than it's successful. Not that others aren't, but we don't really do too many non-music related events. I know we did like a mail review, but that's definitely not my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how anybody else feels, but I'm just not a fan of, dudes in G-strings slinging it around on stage, I mean, if you like that, it's you. It's just not my favorite.
Mine either.
But they're successful too. But I think the midget wrestling's fun, man. Or I'm sorry, micro wrestling for all you politically correct fucks out there. To be fair, they call themselves midgets. All right.
I mean, in that circumstance, when they use it for their own promotion, it's kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
how mad can you get?
They're called the midgets with attitude.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I usually abbreviate it though, as to not to offend any of these snowflakes.
Right.
Respectfully, disrespectfully, MWA micro wrestling. So that's usually my favorite way to put it. But they're successful. People have a lot of fun, man. It makes me feel good to see people enjoying themselves, which is kind of the reason that I do it. You know, a reason that I do it, not the only one, but it's nice.
And we kind of covered this next one: touring show or festival.
Man, the festivals. The festivals are just fun. I enjoy seeing everybody. Getting to see, sometimes I see bands that I haven't seen before, or people I haven't seen in a long time. That's probably it.
Metal or rap?
Metal all the way, man. I like rap. I do. You know, we've mentioned that a few times. There's a bunch of guys that I'm really big on, and I'll listen to them a lot. But metal's always going to be over that for me.
Creed or Foo Fighters?
Oh, fuck you, man. Creed's my favorite. Foo Fighters are right there too, though.
Good answer.
It's like at the end of Talladega Nights when Ricky Bobby is like running to the finish line.
Yeah.
That's Ricky Bobby's Creed, and the other guy is Foo Fighters.
That's me with Ice Nine Kills and Blue Oyster Cult.
Really, that's a weird pairing there.
I'm a weird person.
I've noticed, but it's fine, man. I accept you how you are.
I appreciate that. This is a safe space.
It is. It is. No safe spaces.
Except this one.
This current one right now.
A business practice you wish you learned earlier in your career?
Oh man, you know I read these questions were all pre-screened, and I read this one and I didn't even think about how to answer it. Generally speaking, I guess I wish I'd have learned how to do all the managerial stuff that I do now a little bit earlier. That way I'd be a little bit further along and knowing how to handle certain situations. So just that as a whole, I guess, just being a better manager.
Gotcha.
You know, I try to be the best that I can be with what I have.
Well, I think you're doing great.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Outside looking in, it's all running swimmingly.
Exactly.
That's
That's
perception.
all that matters.
The perception of it is more important than the actual running of it. So, as long as people think it's going great, hell yeah,
10 out of 10.
we're swimming, baby.
And the last one, that was the fastest speed run I've ever done.
Fast.
This is going to end on a bit of a downer. Your least favorite aspect of the music industry, whether it's as a businessman or a fan.
How you get such criticism from people that have no fucking clue what they're doing. You know, and I can elaborate on this for hours.
Please do.
We don't have that long. But the one thing I hate the most is the inability to satisfy people. And those are the kinds of people that you see in any aspect of life, whether it be getting a fucking order at Starbucks or going to McDonald's or something like that. These people are just, you can't please them regardless of what they do. Specifically, and I don't want to call her out by name, but people that watch this and know or have seen it know, there's this person that always chimes in on the Hooligans page. Right. Anytime I announce a show or advertise something, they always have something bad to say. It's never anything positive, or they never just leave it alone. It's like, well, first off, I was always told, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Right. That's what most people should be living like. You know, if you've got something to say, come at me with some criticism and like a potential solution or like an idea. So this person would always comment something like, "Are you kidding me?" or like, "Come on, dude," or like something like negative, like something stupid and passive. And at first I would respond going, "We're sorry you feel this way. We try to do things to appease multiple demographics. If you don't like this, there's probably something else that you will like." Something very PC, something very
managerial.
Yeah, you know, like, you know, human resources is going to read that and go, "Great, that was a wonderful response.
Gold star.
Yeah, you know, Johnny gets a great gold star this week. He is Employee of the Month." And it's slowly transformed into like, I respond with like these sassy, snarky remarks now, which I don't cross a line, but anybody reading it can read the sarcasm. You know what I'm saying? And I only did that because I started seeing I started seeing like memes about like Wendy's or like all these other like businesses where they would like respond. I don't know if it's actually them, but they're funny, right?
Wendy's goes hard.
Dude, isn't it fun? So I started taking like a page out of that book, and I started saying things like, well, if you don't like it, why don't you fucking do it? You know, like, where's your venue at?
Yep.
Where's your concert at? Who do you want to see? Why don't you call them and ask them to come and play here? We'll give you the club. You know, like, rent the club and do it your fucking self. If you don't like it, the opportunity for you to do it yourself exists. Come and talk to me. Door's always open. Produce your own event. Quit talking shit about mine, bitches. Done. Done.
Oh my gosh. No, is it the same person?
Yeah, it's the same person over and over. You know, I hope you see this. Yes, it's that person. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Is it Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook.
Shit. I was like, if it's on Instagram, I'll flame the shit out of them.
He just pulled it up. He saw it. But I do it in a way, though. I do want to say that. I do it in a way that gets my point across without crossing a line and that people see and go, oh, shit, he said that. Yep. Clap back. And I'm like, yeah, get off my shit.
Get off your shit and on your level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you can do it better than me, show me. That's all I got to say, man. If you want to do it better than me, come on.
I can't think of a...
I'll give you the floor, bro.
I can't think of a better way to close off this interview.
Yeah.
This has been a blast.
Yeah,
oh my
fuck
gosh.
that person and anybody else like them.
Well, on that note, before I let you go, for real, is there any closing message that you have for any Hooligans fans, anyone that's going to see you with Saint Asonia? Any final message?
No, but you can check out saintasonia.com for all those tour dates or Theory of a Dead Man or Skillet, any of those websites, any of those bands. You can follow that for the dates. I don't think anything's close to here, like we said earlier. I think the closest thing to us is going to be Baltimore or Nashville.
Thanks, Live Nation.
Sorry. I didn't have any control over this. It's not my fault, so don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, Facebook, dude.
Fuck them. Yeah, fuck you, Facebook person. So on that side of things, man, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in the different markets that I have friends in. As far as here, quit being that person on Facebook or Instagram. I do the best that I can with what I'm given. I know it's not always what people want to see, but, you know, the doors are open, like I said. If you want to produce your own events as a promoter, feel free to call me. I'll help you. If you want to come in here and do it and you think you can do it better, by all means, let's work together. I'll make your dreams a reality, just point blank. But we got to dream within our constraints here. And
dream realistically.
No Metallicas, just saying. All the upcoming shows, as usual, hooliganslive.com. You can check out all our social media. We're on all of them, TikTok, Snapchat, Pornhub, you know, whatever floats your boat, man. Whatever tickles your fancy, bro. We're on it. You know, farmersonly.com. Shout out to ultimatedrummingtechnique.com. If anybody wants to learn the techniques that are used by bands like Dying Fetus or Cannibal Corpse or me, visit ultimatedrummingtechnique.com. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. All the lessons are right there. You will not walk away without having your life changed. I promise you. And that goes for anybody, drummer or not. Do it. Do it now.
Well, hey, man, it's been a blast. I can't wait to do this again.
Yeah, round 3 coming soon.
Hell
Whoever
yeah.
knows when, I don't know.
Let's see this summer.
This summer, that's a long time.
It might be earlier.
Okay.
I'm going to get
Okay.
anxious.
Okay.
Well, until the next interview, until the next video, stay tuned, stay scared, and I'll catch you later.
Dead Noise, baby.
Dead noise.